Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive that's all about something we probably all think about a lot, personal finance.
Yeah, it's one of those things that can feel really overwhelming.
Totally. But don't worry, that's why we're doing this deep dive.
Exactly. We're going to pull out the most useful stuff from all the sources that, you sent in.
Yep. And by the end, you'll have all the essential knowledge to feel empowered, not intimidated, to take control of your money.
It's all about building your financial toolkit.
I love that. So each concept we cover, it's like adding a new tool to your financial toolkit.
Exactly. Equipping you for any financial situation that comes your way.
Okay, so let's start building this toolkit with something everyone needs, a budget.
And what's interesting is that so many people think budgeting is about restriction.
Yeah, like deprivation.
Exactly. But it's not about that at all.
So what is it about then?
Well, it's about making conscious choices with your money.
Okay, so like having a plan.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sources mentions this rule, the 50-30-20 rule.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so basically it suggests allocating 50% of your income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and debt repayment.
Okay, so like needs are the essentials.
Exactly. Things like housing, food, transportation, the things you absolutely can't live without.
Right. And wants are, well, the things you want.
The fun stuff, like travel, entertainment, hobbies.
30% for wants?
It might seem like a lot.
Yeah, a little generous, don't you think?
Well, it depends. Budgeting isn't about fitting into some rigid mold.
So it's okay to enjoy your money too?
Absolutely. In fact, if you deprive yourself entirely, you're more likely to give up on your budget.
That makes sense. Okay, so it's about finding that balance.
Exactly. A balance that works for you.
Got it. And speaking of balance, our source also mentioned something called zero-based budgeting.
That one sounds intense.
Right, like you're giving every single dollar a job.
That's exactly what it is.
Whoa.
But it can be incredibly effective for people who really want that granular level of control over their finances.
Okay, so zero-based budgeting is like, if budgeting was using a map, this is the super detailed map.
Yeah. No more wondering where your money went. You know exactly where every dollar is going.
Okay, I can see how that would be appealing for some people.
Right. It's all about finding the budgeting method that fits your personality and your needs.
All right, so now that we've got our budget in place.
A roadmap.
Yeah, a roadmap. Let's talk about saving. Because what's the point of having a roadmap if you don't have a destination right?
That's a great way to put it. And one of the most important things to save for is an emergency fund.
Yeah, our source really emphasizes that.
And for good reason. Life is full of unexpected expenses, right?
Like car repairs, medical bills, or even job loss.
Exactly. An emergency fund is like a financial cushion.
It helps you absorb those financial shocks without completely derailing your plans.
Absolutely.
Now, our source recommends aiming for 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Have you ever had like an oh no moment where you were really grateful for your emergency fund?
Oh, absolutely. A few years ago, my car decided to completely break down.
Oh no.
And I had to replace the transmission.
Oh wow. That must have been expensive.
It was. But because I had my emergency fund, I didn't have to go into debt.
I see. That's why you're the expert.
Well, we all learn from experience, right?
Right? That's true. That's true. Okay, so beyond the emergency fund, what about saving for other goals?
Well, that's where we start thinking about short-term versus long-term savings goals.
So short term would be like...
Things you want to achieve within the next year or two.
Okay, like a vacation.
Exactly. Or maybe a down payment on a car.
And long term would be more like...
Saving for retirement.
Or buying a house.
Exactly. Big long-term goals.
Yeah. But honestly, with inflation and everything, does it even make sense to keep money in a regular savings account?
That's a great question, and it's why it's so important to know about high-yield savings accounts.
Okay, so those are different from regular savings accounts.
They are. High-yield savings accounts offer a much higher interest rate, so your money actually grows faster.
Interesting. So you're still saving, but your money is actually working for you.
Exactly. It's not going to make you rich, but it's definitely better than letting your savings just sit there.
All right, I'm sold. Now let's talk about something even more exciting, investing.
Now we're talking. This is where you can really start growing your wealth.
Our source describes investing as using your money to buy assets that have the potential to increase in value over time.
It's like planting a money tree.
I love that.
Yeah.
So instead of just saving, you're actively trying to grow your money.
Exactly. But I know stocks and bonds can sound a little intimidating.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's break it down.
Please do.
All right, so think of stocks as owning a tiny piece of a company.
Like a little slice of ownership.
Exactly. And when that company performs well, the value of your stock goes up.
Okay, so it's like betting on the success of a company.
In a way, yes, but there's always risk involved.
That's true. Okay, now what about bonds?
Bonds are like loans that you give to the government or to corporations.
So you're lending money and they pay you back with interest.
That's right. And bonds are generally considered less risky than stocks.
Okay, so stocks are potentially higher reward, but also higher risk, while bonds are safer, but with lower potential returns.
That's a great way to sum it up. And, there are also mutual funds and ETFs.
I've heard of those, but I don't really understand what they are.
They're basically baskets of different stocks or bonds.
Like a variety pack of investments.
Exactly. And that's important because it allows you to diversify your investments.
Diversify.
It means not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Oh, right.
Makes sense.
So even if one investment doesn't do well, it doesn't tank your entire portfolio.
Okay, so diversification is like spreading your risk.
Precisely. And mutual funds and ETFs make it really easy to diversify even if you don't have a lot of money to invest.
That's really cool. But how do you know which investments are right for you?
Well, that's where understanding your risk tolerance comes in.
Risk on. Yeah, it's basically your comfort level with the ups and downs of the market.
Like, how much risk are you willing to take?
Exactly. Some people are thrill seekers.
Okay, so they're happy to take on more risk.
Right. For the potential of higher returns.
And others prefer to play it safe.
Exactly. And that's totally fine. There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to risk tolerance.
It's about knowing yourself and your comfort level.
Absolutely.
I know.
And choosing investments that align with your goals and your risk tolerance.
Okay, that makes sense. We've covered budgeting, saving, and investing. Now let's tackle something that can feel a bit heavy: debt.
Debt is a reality for a lot of people,
For sure.
but it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
So how do we make it less overwhelming?
Well, one of the first things is to understand the different types of debt.
So not all debt is created equal.
Exactly. There's good debt and bad debt.
I've always wondered about that. What makes debt good?
Good debt is generally debt that helps you build wealth or improve your financial situation over time.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure, a mortgage is a good example.
A mortgage.
Yeah, because it helps you buy a house, which is an asset that typically appreciates in value over time.
So it's an investment in your future.
Exactly. And student loans can also be considered good debt if they lead to a higher paying career.
So it's about strategic debt.
Right. Debt that has a clear purpose and a potential payoff.
Got it. Now what about bad debt? What makes debt bad?
Bad debt typically doesn't serve a long-term purpose and can really weigh you down financially.
Like credit card debt.
That's the classic example, especially high-interest credit card debt. If you're only making minimum payments, you could end up paying way more in interest than the original purchase price.
Ouch, yeah, that's scary. Okay, and when we talk about debt, we also need to talk about credit scores.
Absolutely. Your credit score is like your financial report card.
So it tells lenders how responsible you are with money.
Exactly. It's a 3-digit number based on your credit history.
And the higher the score, the better.
That's right. A higher score means you're a lower risk borrower, which can qualify you for lower interest rates.
So it really pays to have a good credit score.
Absolutely. It can save you thousands of dollars over time.
Now, for those of us who do have debt, our source mentions a couple of methods for paying it down: the debt snowball and the debt avalanche.
Those are two popular methods.
So what's the difference?
The debt snowball method focuses on paying off your smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate.
Interesting. So you get that quick win.
Exactly. It can be really motivating.
And then what?
Once you've paid off the smallest debt, you roll the amount you were paying on that debt into the next smallest debt, and so on.
So it creates a snowball effect.
That's right. And it keeps building momentum.
Okay, I can see how that would be appealing. What about the debt avalanche method?
The debt avalanche focuses on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first.
Regardless of the balance.
Exactly. This approach saves you the most money on interest payments in the long run.
Okay, so snowball is about motivation. Avalanche is about maximizing savings.
You got it. And ultimately, the best method is the one you'll stick with.
Right, because consistency is key.
Absolutely. It's like choosing the right workout routine. It needs to work for you.
All right, I think we've covered debt pretty well. Let's shift gears now and talk about something that might seem far off, but is super important to start thinking about early on.
Retirement.
Exactly. It's
Right.
never too early to start planning for retirement,
And our source really emphasizes that.
because time is your greatest asset when it comes to investing.
That's right. Thanks to the magic of compound interest.
Our source actually describes it as a time machine for your money.
It's pretty amazing.
Can you explain how it works?
Sure. So basically, with compound interest, you earn interest not just on your initial investment, but also on the accumulated
So
interest.
your money is basically making money on itself.
Exactly. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and bigger over time.
Okay, but how much of a difference does starting early really make?
Let's say you invest $5,000 per year, starting at age 25, and earn an average annual return of 7%. By the time you retire at 65, you'll have over $1 million.
Wow. $1 million. That's incredible.
It is. But now, let's say you wait until age 35 to start investing that same $5,000 per year.
Okay, so just 10 years later.
Exactly. Well, by the time you reach 65, you'll have only about $560,000.
Whoa. That's a huge difference for just delaying 10 years.
That's the power of compound interest. The earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow exponentially.
Okay, I'm convinced starting early is key, even if it's with small amounts.
Absolutely. And when it comes to retirement planning, there are a few different types of accounts to consider.
Like what?
Well, there are 401ks, IRAs, and pensions.
401ks, those are offered by employers, right?
Many employers offer them. It allows you to contribute pre-tax dollars, which reduces your taxable income now.
Okay, so you're saving on taxes.
Right. And plus, many employers offer matching contributions.
So they're basically giving you free money.
It's as close to free money as you can get.
Okay, what about IRAs?
IRAs, or individual retirement accounts, are accounts you can open independently.
So you don't need an employer to set one up for you.
Exactly. There are traditional IRAs, where you contribute pre-tax dollars, and Roth IRAs, where you contribute after-tax dollars.
So with a traditional IRA, you get the tax break now.
That's right. And with a Roth IRA, your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
Oh, that's interesting. So there are different ways to save for retirement with potential tax advantages.
Absolutely. It's worth exploring all the options.
What about pensions? Are those still a thing?
They are. Pensions are traditional retirement plans typically offered by employers, where you receive a fixed sum of money regularly after you retire.
So it's like a guaranteed income stream in retirement.
Exactly. They're less common now, but some industries and government jobs still offer them.
Okay, so it's good to know all the options.
Definitely. Choosing the right retirement savings plan is a crucial part of planning for your financial future.
Okay, let's move on to something that people don't always like to talk about, taxes.
It's not the most exciting topic.
But it's important.
Absolutely. And the good news is, we're just going to cover the essentials.
So no deep dive into tax law.
Don't worry, we're just going to focus on income tax, capital gains tax, and tax-advantaged accounts.
Okay, so let's start with income tax.
Income tax is the tax you pay on your earnings.
Earnings from your job, investments, all that.
Exactly. And the percentage you pay depends on your income level and filing status.
So basically, the more you earn, the more you pay in taxes.
Generally, yes.
What about capital gains tax? What's that all about?
Capital gains tax applies to the profits you make from selling investments.
Okay, so like if I buy a stock for $100 and sell it for $200, I have to pay taxes on that $100 profit.
Exactly. And there are different tax rates for short-term and long-term capital gains.
Okay, so what's the difference?
Short-term capital gains are taxed at your ordinary income tax rate, while long-term capital gains are typically taxed at a lower rate.
Interesting. So there's a tax advantage to holding on to investments for the long term.
Exactly. It literally pays to be patient.
Now, what about those tax-advantaged accounts we keep hearing about? How do they work?
Well, accounts like 401ks and IRAs offer special tax benefits.
Like what?
For example, with traditional 401ks and IRAs, your contributions are tax deductible.
Tax deductible. What does that mean?
It means you don't pay taxes on that money until you withdraw it in retirement.
So you're basically delaying taxes.
Exactly. And that allows your money to grow tax deferred for years.
Interesting. So that's a pretty big advantage.
It is. It can make a significant difference in how much your money grows over time.
And with a Roth IRA, you contribute after-tax dollars, but your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
That's right. And that can be really beneficial if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement.
Okay, so there are different ways to save for retirement with potential tax advantages.
Absolutely. It's worth exploring all the options to see what makes the most sense for you.
All right, next up, let's talk about insurance.
Insurance, it's like a financial safety net.
Our source describes it as a financial umbrella for unexpected storms.
Love that.
Me too. So insurance is basically about protecting yourself from financial loss.
Exactly. It helps you mitigate the financial impact of unforeseen events.
Okay, so it's not about avoiding risk entirely.
Right. It's about being prepared for the risks that are inherent in life.
And our source mentions several types of insurance, like health insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, auto insurance, and home insurance.
Yeah, those are some of the most common types.
It seems like a lot to keep track of.
It can be, but let's break it down.
Okay, let's do it.
Health insurance, as you know, covers medical expenses.
All right.
Life insurance provides financial support to your beneficiaries if you pass away.
Okay, so that's important for people with dependents.
Absolutely. It can help ensure your loved ones are taken care of financially if something were to happen to you.
What about disability insurance? What's that?
Disability insurance replaces a portion of your income if you're unable to work due to illness or injury.
So it's like income protection.
Exactly. It can be a lifesaver if you're suddenly unable to earn a living.
Makes sense. And then there's auto insurance and home insurance.
Those are pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, auto insurance covers accidents or damage to your car, and home insurance covers damage to your house and belongings.
Exactly. They're essential for protecting your assets.
But how do you know what type of insurance you really need?
That's a great question, and it really depends on your individual circumstances and risk tolerance.
So it's about assessing your potential risks.
Exactly. Do you have dependents? Do you live in an area prone to natural disasters? Answering these types of questions can help you determine which types of insurance are most important for you.
So it's like a personalized approach to insurance.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like insurance is really about having a plan in place to protect what you've worked hard for.
That's a great way to put it. It's a crucial part of a sound financial strategy.
All right, we're in the home stretch now. Our next topic is financial literacy and resources.
It's all about your ongoing learning journey.
Because personal finance is something you're always learning about.
Right. The financial landscape is constantly changing, so it's important to stay informed.
And our source mentions books, online courses, and financial advisors as helpful resources.
Those are all great options.
What are your thoughts on each of those?
Well, books are a great place to start if you're looking to build a solid foundation.
Okay, so for the basics.
Exactly. And online courses offer a more interactive learning experience.
So it's more engaging.
It can be. And then financial advisors can provide personalized guidance.
So if you need more hands-on help.
Exactly. Especially for more complex financial situations.
Okay, so it's like having different tools in your financial toolkit.
Yeah.
Books for the basics, online courses for interactive learning, and financial advisors for personalized coaching.
I love that analogy.
But with so many resources out there, where do you even begin?
Well, I think the most important thing is to identify your learning style and preferences.
So do you prefer reading, watching videos, or having one-on-one conversations?
Exactly. Once you know how you learn best, you can choose resources that align with your needs.
All right, that makes sense. Now, we've talked about the resources, but what about the mindset?
Mindset is crucial.
Our source emphasizes the importance of financial goals and mindset, and it asks a really thought-provoking question. What does financial success mean to you?
That's a great question to reflect on.
Because it's different for everyone, right?
Absolutely. Financial success is not one size fits all.
So it's not just about accumulating wealth.
It's about defining what truly matters to you in life and aligning your financial choices with those values and aspirations.
So creating a life you love, not just a fat bank account.
Exactly.
Okay, and our source mentions SMART goals. What are those?
SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Whoa, that's a lot of criteria.
It is, but it's a really helpful framework for setting goals that you can actually achieve.
So instead of saying, I want to save more money,
A SMART goal would be, I will save $5,000 for a down payment on a car by December of next year.
okay, so it's very specific and measurable.
Exactly. And having a deadline helps you stay on track.
Now, our source also talks about these concepts of financial independence and delayed gratification.
Those are both important concepts.
What exactly is financial independence?
Financial independence is the ability to live without relying on active income.
So you're not dependent on a job to cover your expenses?
Exactly. You have enough wealth through savings and investments that you can support yourself without having to work.
Wow, that sounds amazing. But is that even possible?
It's definitely achievable, but it requires careful planning, discipline, and a long-term perspective.
Okay, what about delayed gratification? What's that all about?
Delayed gratification is the ability to resist the temptation of immediate rewards in favor of larger rewards down the line.
So like saving for a down payment on a house instead of going on an expensive vacation?
Exactly. It's about making choices that align with your long-term vision, even if it means sacrificing some immediate pleasure.
I can see how that would be really important for achieving financial independence.
It's essential. It's about prioritizing your future self over your present self.
Right. And making choices that will ultimately lead to greater happiness and fulfillment.
That's what it's all about, creating a life that you love, a life that's aligned with your values and your goals.
This has been so insightful. We've covered so much. Budgeting, saving, investing, debt, taxes, retirement planning.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But remember that financial toolkit analogy? We're building it step by step.
You now have a solid foundation in personal finance.
And you've learned about all the tools you need to make informed decisions and achieve your financial goals.
You're well on your way to financial well-being.
Now, before we move on to the next part, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on something that doesn't always get enough attention: the emotional side of money.
Oh, that's a big one. Our emotions play a huge role in our financial decisions, whether we realize it or not.
So it's not just about the numbers.
Definitely not. It's about understanding our own psychology around money.
And that's what we'll dive into in part 2 of this deep dive.
I can't wait. You know, it's funny because we often talk about money like it's this purely rational thing.
Yeah,
But the reality is our emotions play a huge role in our financial decisions.
totally. Like, I know I've definitely made impulse purchases or, even avoided checking my bank account because I was feeling anxious.
Exactly. And that's why our source emphasizes the importance of developing a healthy financial mindset.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly? Like, how do you actually develop a healthy financial mindset?
Well, for starters, it's about recognizing those emotions and not letting them control your choices.
So, like, being aware when you're spending out of stress or boredom.
Exactly. And then it's about shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Okay, what's the difference?
A fixed mindset believes that your abilities are set in stone.
So, like, I'm just bad with money.
Right. But a growth mindset believes that you can always learn and improve.
So it's like, I'm still learning, but I'm committed to getting better.
Exactly. It's about focusing on progress, not perfection.
I love that. Our source also talks about financial resilience.
Resilience is so important.
But what does it actually mean? Is it just about being good with money?
It's more than that. It's about being prepared for and bouncing back from financial challenges.
So it's like having a financial safety net and the skills to navigate tough times.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, not reactive.
Okay, so what are some of the key ingredients of financial resilience?
Well, our source mentions a few, like having an emergency fund, managing your debt, and diversifying your income sources.
So basically not having all your eggs in one basket.
That's right. And it also emphasizes the importance of continuous learning.
So always be growing and expanding your financial knowledge.
Exactly. The more you know, the better equipped you are to handle whatever financial challenges come your way.
It sounds like a holistic approach to building financial security.
It is. But I know some people might think that all this planning and preparation just creates more stress.
Yeah, like it's just adding to the to-do list.
I understand that perspective, but actually I think it's the opposite.
Really? How so?
Well, when you have a solid financial plan and a resilient mindset, you're less likely to panic when unexpected things happen.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like knowing you have a spare tire in your car.
I love that analogy.
It doesn't mean you're expecting a flat tire, but it gives you peace of mind knowing you can handle it if it happens.
Exactly. Building financial resilience is about empowering yourself, not living in fear.
Okay, I'm starting to see how resilience can actually lead to greater peace of mind.
Exactly. And, it's important to remember that building resilience takes time.
It's not something that happens overnight.
Definitely not. It's a journey, not a destination.
And it's okay to start small, right?
Absolutely. Even small changes can make a big difference over time. Well, you could start by automating your savings, so you're consistently putting money aside each month.
That's a great idea. Or maybe paying an extra $50 towards your debt each month.
Yeah. Those small actions can really add up.
It's like building a muscle. You don't get six-pack abs after one workout.
That's such a good analogy. Financial fitness is a lot like physical fitness.
Consistency is key.
Exactly. And, one thing that can really help with consistency is having a support system.
Yeah, our source talks about seeking community when you need it.
And that's so important because it's easy to feel isolated when you're facing financial challenges.
Totally. It's like everyone else has it figured out and you're the only one struggling.
But that's not true at all. Everyone makes financial mistakes.
Right. No one's perfect.
And sharing your experiences and asking questions can make a huge difference.
I totally agree. I'm actually part of this online community for women who are interested in investing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been amazing to connect with other women who understand the ups and downs of the market.
Right. And you can share tips and strategies and support each other.
Exactly. It's so much easier when you don't feel like you're going through it alone.
Community is everything. And, it all comes back to that emotional side of money that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's so important to understand our emotional triggers around money.
Absolutely, because our emotions can really sabotage our best financial intentions.
So can you give us some examples of how our emotions might be affecting our financial choices?
Sure, like let's say you're feeling stressed about your job security.
Okay, relatable,
You might start overspending as a way to cope with that anxiety.
even though it's not in your best interest financially.
Exactly. Or maybe you see your friends buying all these expensive things.
And you feel pressure to keep up.
Right. And that can lead to impulse purchases that you later regret.
It's like our emotions can hijack our rational decision-making process when it comes to money.
They totally can. So it's really important to develop strategies for managing those emotions.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, our source has a few tips.
Like what?
One is to track your spending for a few months.
So you can see where your money is actually going.
Exactly. And that can help you identify any patterns or areas where emotional spending might be an issue.
Okay, so awareness is key.
Absolutely. And then another tip is to create a budget that aligns with your values.
I love that idea. Aligning your spending with your values.
It's so powerful. It helps ensure that your money is working for you, not against you.
And if you're struggling with deeper emotional issues around money, like compulsive spending or financial anxiety,
It's always okay to seek professional help.
yeah, there's no shame in that.
Definitely not. A therapist or a financial counselor can help you work through those issues and develop healthier coping mechanisms.
So remember, you don't have to navigate this alone.
That's so important to remember. We've talked a lot about building a strong foundation, developing resilience, understanding our relationship with money.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
But what's the ultimate goal of all of this? What are we striving for?
That's a great question.
For me, it's about creating a life of financial well-being.
Where money is a tool that empowers you to live your best life.
Exactly. Not a source of stress or anxiety.
I think that's a beautiful way to frame it. It's not about chasing wealth for wealth's sake, but about using our financial resources to create a life that is fulfilling and meaningful.
And that's what financial literacy is all about.
It's not just about understanding the numbers.
It's about understanding how those numbers can help you create a life that you love.
And that brings us to the final part of our deep dive.
Where we'll explore how to actually turn these concepts into action.
All right, so we've really dug deep into personal finance.
Yeah, from budgeting to investing to all that emotional stuff.
My biggest takeaway is it's not just about the numbers.
Right. It's just as much about mindset.
Exactly. But now we've got all this knowledge.
It's like we've got a toolbox full of tools.
Yeah, but what do we do with them?
Well, that's what this final part is all about. Turning knowledge into action.
I like it. So where do we begin? There's so much we could do.
Start small. Think of one thing, just one thing inspired by what we've talked about, and do it.
Okay, so like what? Give me an example.
Well, you could finally make that budget.
Okay, a budget. What else?
Maybe open a high-yield savings account.
Ooh, yeah, those high interest rates.
Right. Or even just grab a personal finance book and start reading.
Okay, yeah, those are all pretty doable.
Exactly. The point is to just take that first step.
And then keep going.
Yeah.
Because our source talks about financial literacy as a journey.
It is. It's not a one-time thing.
So how do we stay motivated? How do we keep learning after this deep dive is over?
There's so many ways.
Okay, like what?
You could subscribe to a financial newsletter,
Okay.
listen to other podcasts,
Hmm.
or join an online community.
Those are all good ideas.
Mhm.
I think for me, it's been helpful to set realistic goals.
Oh, yeah. Goals are huge.
Instead of trying to learn everything at once, I just focus on one new thing each month.
Love that. Breaks it down into bite-sized pieces.
Right. It just feels less overwhelming that way.
Yeah, makes total sense. And speaking of breaking things down, I think it's important to think about our values when it comes to money.
Oh, yeah, totally. But how do our values actually play into our financial decisions?
Well, think back to that 50-30-20 budget. That 30% that's allocated for wants, that's where your values come in.
Okay, so it's not just about spending on whatever.
Right. It's about spending on the things that truly matter to you.
The things that bring you joy and align with your values.
Exactly. Maybe it's travel or supporting local businesses.
Or donating to a charity.
Right. It's about using your money to create a life that reflects who you are and what you believe in.
That's such a powerful way to think about it. It's not just about being responsible. It's about making your money meaningful.
Exactly. Money is a tool, and it's up to us to decide how we use it.
Well said. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to touch on one last thing.
Okay, what is it?
Legacy. What legacy do you want to create with your finances? Our source brings that up, and it really got me thinking.
Ooh, yeah, that's a deep one.
Because it goes beyond just managing our own money, right?
Absolutely. It's about the impact we want to have on our families, our communities, even the world.
So it could be financial security for future generations.
Yeah. Or maybe supporting a cause you care about.
Or just setting a good example of responsible money management.
Right. And the amazing thing is, we have the power to shape that legacy through the choices we make today.
So it all comes back to that financial toolkit we've been building.
It does.
The knowledge, the skills, even the mindset. It all plays a part in creating a financial future that isn't just secure, but also aligned with our values.
And remember, it's an ongoing process. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and don't be afraid to reach out for help when you need it.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. Thank you so much for all your insights.
My pleasure. It's been so fun to chat about this stuff with you.
For sure. And thank you all for listening. We hope this deep dive has empowered you to take control of your finances and build a life you love.
Remember, financial literacy is for everyone, and the journey to financial well-being is one worth taking.
So keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you next time.